Welcome to ThinkTech on OC16, Hawaii's weekly newscast on things that matter to tech and to Hawaii. I'm Jay Fidell.
And I'm Duke Oishi.
World Cancer Day was February 4th, only last week. In our show tonight, we'll take a look at the American Cancer Society and see how it's been affected by tech and how far it's come.
We'll talk with some of its managers and doctors. We'll take a tour of its home and office in Nuuanu and see how it comforts patients and families.
The American Cancer Society is alive and well in Honolulu, fighting an old foe, cancer. It's been helping patients and their families here and across the country for many years. There's been many advances in oncology and the treatment of cancer in recent years, and the Society has also come a long way in those years.
This year, over 6,000 people in Hawaii will hear that they have cancer, some 120 people every week. Cancer is a frightening and sometimes fatal disease. The American Cancer Society and the people associated with it offer information, comfort, and hope to cancer patients and their families. They do difficult work and give great kindness, and we're greatly indebted to them.
So ThinkTech took this week to visit with the American Cancer Society and see what it's made of. We wanted to meet the people who run it and the people who work for it. We wanted to see what they do and what makes them tick. It was a wonderful experience, and we bring it to you tonight.
We are seeing a decline in overall cancer mortality and incidence rate.
Mark was talking about three different scenarios in which we're getting better at what we do in terms of treatment, in terms of early detection, and in terms of identifying environmental and behavioral activities that can be modified. We are entering into a golden age in terms of oncology. I mean, we're looking at various modalities and mechanisms of disease, including the formation of blood vessels, for instance, or enzymes that are turned on and result in the proliferation of abnormal or malignant cells. And all of these drugs that have entered the pipeline over the past decade have contributed greatly to the success and the improvement in terms of survival.
Today, there are 11 million cancer survivors. Now, most people can and do survive. So that's the really positive side, but it's totally changed the role that we have to play.
We're doing, I think, a fairly good job as far as treating patients and giving them access to care. Hawaii ranks very high. In fact, in a lot of areas, we are the highest in the country.
Well, the American Cancer Society is actually better than it was 10 years ago or 20 years ago. The impact that we're having is dramatically different and better than it was.
And of course, we're not there yet where, everybody who comes down with cancer survives. Unfortunately, that's not what happens. And when we sit down with patients and their families, we try to be as realistic and as hopeful as possible, whether we're trying to cure your illness or palliate, meaning to make better, but we won't be able to eradicate disease completely, that we will be with them every step of the way.
Nationally, we're a $1 billion a year revenue organization, and most of that revenue is from the general public. The largest source of fundraising that we have is what we call Relay for Life. Now, Relay for Life, you could say, it's a fundraising activity, but it's also actually a educational activity. It's an opportunity psychologically for people to get together for a common cause.
One of the important developments, I think, within our society itself is the development of something called a patient management folder. It's actually a packet that is divided up into important components of a patient's care.
And we're really there as that connector between the patient and whatever resources and services that might be available.
It's not just the medical community that suddenly gets involved in a cancer patient. Here we had a need for an estate plan. It's truly a community effort, and it involves everyone.
And I do believe that Hawaii will emerge as a leader, and it should be a leader in terms of trying to understand the ethnic diversity that we have.
What I see in the next 10 years is I think you're going to see American Cancer Society with an imprint, not just in the United States, but throughout the world.
Then we took a drive to the top of Nu'uanu Avenue to see the beautiful home and office of the American Cancer Society in Hawaii, where we met with Chief Staff Officer Jackie Young and her dedicated and impressive staff.
The first thing we did when we got there was to meet a cancer patient getting fitted for a wig. The wig fitter was cosmetologist Lucretia Fry, and the patient was Palalay Dawson. It's a tender ritual.
Ladies come in, they've had an appointment, and we say, do you want long hair, short hair, blonde? Every client can get one wig of their choice, a scarf, hat, head covering. So she elected to shave her head. It's much more comfortable that way. It's not on your bed, it's not in your shower, it's not on your floor.
Okay.
And we go from the front to the back. Check this out.
Yeah, that's great.
This is your mother.
Okay.
And she is wearing look good, feel better makeup. We go from the front to the back. And
You know what? I like this one better.
all of these are donated.
How did you find out about this service pool, Lani?
I saw the pamphlet at Straub Hospital where I did my chemotherapy. You know, I said, I gotta get to this workshop because I'd like to know more about Cancer Society. So it was really a good class. I'm glad I went. I'm glad I got to meet all these new people, new friends. Yeah, and look, I'm getting awake today. Thank
Yes,
you.
you are.
We had a chance to meet Rick Williams, a volunteer driver for the Society. He's a driver, but he's much more than that.
I'm a driver, and I pick up people from their homes. I take them to the hospital, wherever they have an appointment. I drop them off. Occasionally, it'll be a short-term appointment, so we'll wait, pick them up from the hospital, take them home. A lot of times, people don't feel like talking. They're either worried about what's going to happen, or they're really sick from what has just happened. A lot of times, it's people that have received chemotherapy. But generally, people are warm, they're friendly, they want to talk. I try to make the trip enjoyable if we can, but if they just want to be quiet, that's fine too. Windward side has apparently got a lot of support, a lot of drivers, and the rest of the island, I understand they could use more drivers. So, hey, the rest of the island, drivers, come on, we need you, come out.
Of course, we had a few moments to learn about the society from Chief Staff Officer Jackie Young. If you remember, Jackie used to be a member of the state legislature. She could win an election with us anytime.
This is a beautiful home. It was a gift from many donors back in the mid-1990s. And a group of donors, we were renting an office building in downtown Honolulu, and they said, we need a better place for the patients to come and feel like they have a home. So they purchased this wonderful property for us. This is just our headquarters though, because we are in the communities. We have staff members that are on Kauai, Maui, Hilo, Kona, and Guam. Behind me is a great sculpture. It's our Amakua. It was given to us by a small group of donors who were carrying out the wish of Monsignor Charles Kekumano. Everything in this property was gifted to us by our wonderful donors. Every tree, as you go in, every room. You know, we're so fortunate to have the support of the community. We have over 6,000 people a year who are diagnosed with cancer and about 2,000 people who die from cancer. We want to keep that number down. I tell people to picture Aloha Stadium because in the past 10 years, with the number of people diagnosed, it could fill Aloha Stadium. I'm a breast cancer survivor, and I came here 12 years ago, a year after I was diagnosed with breast cancer, because I felt that this is the place where I could give back. I was actually in the legislature for several years.
That's why your name is so familiar to me.
I represented the Kailua Waimanalo area and was vice speaker of the House when I left. in 1994, and then I continued at the University of Hawaii. And then when I was diagnosed with cancer in 1998, I decided to go public and share my story. And I was very honored that I was hired by the American Cancer Society to work. I thought I would stay here only a few years, but it's been wonderful.
Then we toured the Society's house and met a number of the staff there, including Elaine Lowe, Linda Hirano, Lani Almanza, Tim Ho, and Roberto J.J. La'anen. They're all stars, completely dedicated to their patients and the work of the Society in our community.
And it's about eliminating cancer as a major health problem. And that doesn't mean just eliminating the disease, but it's talking about eliminating the pain and suffering that comes with a cancer diagnosis. And I've been with the Society for almost 12 years. I have 9 staff, so we try to keep as many balls up in the air as possible. Relay for Life for us is a time where we celebrate those who are surviving from cancer. We remember those that we've lost through our Luminaria ceremony. That's where we light candles in honor or memory of survivors. And then we fight back. That's where a part of the evening where we get together and we make pledges to live more healthy lives. Fighting cancer is something that even employers and large companies should think about, because when an employee gets cancer, it affects them, it affects their bottom line. And so I think for us, we want to be out there all over in the community because it's important for us to get that message out there. One of the best things that we offer is a patient navigation service, and they can get on the phone and talk with someone who understands and is very well trained in navigating all of the different services we have available, not just through the American Cancer Society, but in the state of Hawaii and in Guam. I think it's important to know that they're not alone and that they have an organization as strong as the American Cancer Society behind them, and that we will spend as much time as they need or as little time as they want to spend with us talking about their next steps. Whether or not someone donates money to the American Cancer Society, I think we like to hear their story first. And so it's not about what they can do for us, but what we can do for each other. If you're someone out there who's been touched by cancer or has had a loved one touched by cancer, we invite you to join the fight against cancer with the American Cancer Society, and we'd love to see you at a Relay for Life event.
And we have a library here where patients can get information about different types of cancer. And this is our personal health manager that we hand out to patients at the various healthcare systems or here if they walk in. And some of the information included in this personal health manager is information on chemotherapy, radiation, nutrition, talking with your doctor, that type of thing. And it also gives an overview of some of our services that we provide. I've been here about 3.5 years. I think it's a great place to work. The people are great, the patients are great. They're so appreciative of the services that we provide, and I love it here. That little moment that we can help them, it feels really good.
Part of it is to be very empathetic.
Right.
And to have a certain special humility.
Right.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
A lot of the work that we do is by committed volunteers, and I said some of them are very extraordinary in the work that they do for us. Inju headed our capital campaign, which brought us this wonderful place, Kahale Ohana here, the Atherton House, and the Watermill House next door in the cottage. So this is her picture. She's still on our board. She's an honorary life member of our board. And of course, the wonderful Gladys Brandt, who was a great supporter of the American Cancer Society and one of our major volunteer fundraisers. Well, this is a historic home turned into a 21st century office. And the bedrooms, and there are 5 of them, are now holding a lot of our staff that are here in the corporate headquarters. Every place in here, which was a closet, a dressing room, has been turned into office space. And all of them are made possible by the generosity of donors.
That is my son Jacob, who was diagnosed in 2001 with a brain tumor the size of a tennis ball, and went through intense surgery, radiation, chemotherapy, and finally in 2005 we lost him to the disease.
Sorry.
So that's why I do what I do. Our primary responsibility is to work with our healthcare systems. We have what we call collaborative service agreements with all the hospitals that have cancer programs. And me and the other community managers for health initiatives across the state work with those hospitals. We're on site. We have agreements with them to be on site, sometimes weekly, sometimes monthly, to be there to help patients navigate through their cancer journey. I go to Queens weekly, and I'm there to meet with patients, to provide them with access to our resources and programs, to inform them of what we have available for them and how they can get in touch with us or take use of those programs. Programs like our Reach to Recovery program, which is a one-to-one breast support program for breast cancer patients. Our Road to Recovery program, which is our access to transportation, which is one of the #1 needs, especially for patients who may be going to radiation, have to go 5 days a week for 7 weeks at a time. I've had experiences at Queens Radiation where a husband is waiting for his wife to finish her treatment and just really wants to share with me that it's hard. Not necessarily that he was looking for any place to go and get support. While I did let him know that we have access and information on support groups if that's something that he would like to seek out. But he just really wanted to share his story with me. You know, we try not to get emotionally attached to the patients or caregivers, but there was a gentleman that really kind of grabbed my heartstrings, and it was very difficult when he passed away.
My main involvement is to work with companies on philanthropic giving to the American Cancer Society, but I also work with companies to help them improve their worksite wellness program. We have a number of programs that we offer corporations that would help them to build a more robust worksite wellness program to help their employees live healthier lives. What we have is an activity-based program called Active for Life. So it's an online program that's pretty much set up for them. All they have to do is just recruit, and pretty much the online format will help them to record the data, and they can offer up incentive prizes and you know, different things to help energize their employees. We have email blasts that we could forward to them, information that they could then forward to their employees to, for example, if it's March, to make them aware that it's colorectal cancer awareness month, to eat healthy, to eat a rainbow. In October, breast cancer awareness month, where they could, you know, ensure that, remind the women to get their mammograms, you know, and different information to help promote prevention, screenings, and education about, you know, living right and eating healthy. This doesn't cost the company anything. All of our programs that we offer to companies are free. This was a gift from City Mill and their employees in their efforts to improve their health. So this gift was tied into an activity-based program that City Mill had implemented. My father is an oncologist here locally, and he's been a volunteer for the American Cancer Society for about 45 years. And just through his passion, you know, his interest in working for this organization as a volunteer, as president, national president, and just a physician who takes care of cancer patients. You know, it was a calling. You know, I think there's a plan for everyone, and you know, this is my plan right now.
This looks like a dining room table, but actually this is our work table. Our volunteers every day gather around here and help to make breast cancer keychains. They fold brochures for us. They stuff they make our luminaria for our Relay for Life events. But this is a central working desk, and it doesn't look like it. But today it's holding a wonderful award. The American Cancer Society Hawaii Pacific is #1 in the nation as far as reaching patients. And back here we have some of our plaques and wonderful from the Senate and from the House accolades to the American Cancer Society are pictures going back many, many years. We've been here over 51 years in Hawaii Pacific as the American Cancer Society. And in fact, at the national level, in 2013, we'll be celebrating 100 years of the American Cancer Society. So we've been here a long time, and this just shows a very small history of the American Cancer Society in Hawaii. JJ here is one of our income development community managers, works on Relay for Life, and He's in the community, and that's what it's all about.
I coordinate the Relay for Life out in the Windward area, so I have 3 relays, the Kailua Kaneohe one, Kualaloa, and the Waimanalo relays.
For me, it's not just about saving lives, but about having better lives. The American Cancer Society is a wonderful representative of that community effort.
Chair of our board
He's
is just
really
wonderful. We couldn't do our work without
totally
volunteers
committed,
like
totally
you.
committed.
Thank you so much, Jay.
Thank you, Jackie.
It was an important visit, and it helped us to see and understand the work of the society and meet the people who run and staff it. We were touched by their sincerity and dedication and will long remember their kindness and concern. No wonder the society is so well known and appreciated by the community.
If you want to know more about the American Cancer Society, or if you want to volunteer or contribute to the society, check out their site, cancer.org. It's very well done.
Thanks to Joe Wikoff and Jackie Young for making this show possible. And a special thanks to Milton Hirata, Communication Officer at the Society, for his help and creative consultation on our tour. Many thanks, Milton.
There's a lot of people around that have cancer and that are going to get cancer. It's the way it is. They do need help, and they do need comfort, and they do need support. And the American Cancer Society really performs an important function in our community and the health community. You know, it's one thing to go see a doctor, but, you know, Cancer Society provides something else, something different, something very emotionally supportive. And there's a real role for that. And it's important that we have the American Cancer Society.
I agree, Jay. I have a friend that was recently diagnosed with cancer, and I can't even imagine what it's like to go through something like that. Now here's our ThinkTech calendar of events.
On February 24th, we're having a luncheon program on the business opportunities presented by the APEC Summit next November. Our panel is awesome. Lieutenant Governor Brian Schatz, Ambassador Lauren Moriarty, Jim Tollefson of the Chamber of Commerce, Dick Baker of the East-West Center, and our own Darren Kimura of Sopogy. What a panel. This one you gotta see.
On March 23rd, we'll present a major half-day program called Housing in Hawaii, Dealing with Our Problems and Providing Housing for Hawaii's People.
On April 28th, we'll present a luncheon panel called Reciprocal Investments Between Hawaii and China.
And now, here's Bill Spencer, President of the Hawaii Venture Capital Association, with this week's Spensation.
We have people who want to put a moratorium on aquaculture, people who don't know, don't understand. So now we have the United Nations comes out with a report and clarifies for us what the global picture is.
Aquaculture is a $100 billion industry, and the United States doesn't have a piece of it. We import 85% of the seafood that's consumed here, and half of that is farmed mostly in Asia. Hawaii is the only state in the United States that has a regulatory infrastructure that allows you to do open ocean fish farming. It's a logical conclusion when you consider the scarcity of water and land that we use the ocean. Most of the fish farming that involves catfish and tilapia are in land-based ponds that use fresh water. It doesn't make sense that we aren't farming the ocean like we farm the land. And Hawaii can be the world leader as far as the new technology, quality product, and also helping meet the demand for the most sought-after species on the planet, which are tuna. About a third of wild-caught fishery in the ocean is nearly wiped out. We have a chance to turn that around by farming fish, and it's actually more efficient because what you feed the fish is a fraction of what they eat in the wild.
It reminds me of climate change. Even now today, there are people out there, even in positions of power, who claim that there is no climate change. It's the same thing here. There's this kind of huge denial thing. I think the country's involved in denial, and I'm sure the state is involved in denial. And we've got to get around that because it's so obvious that aquaculture is important, critical going forward.
That's right. We have a unique strategic competitive advantage. This is one of the things that we can do here. We've got great scientists. We got a proof of concept. We should be pouring a lot of money in this because it can generate good jobs, good tax revenues, and export revenue. I think an important point is you measure the effect of global warming in geologic time. The issue about seafood is an issue that will happen in our lifetime. The UN report says that we need to double aquaculture production. That means go from 50 million tons to 100 million tons in the next 10 years, or else we're going to wipe out the wild fishery.
It strikes me that the United Nations report that you described, it's a wake-up call.
We need to think about how we can support the industry with better infrastructure. How are we going to help the industries that give us the most economic advantage? Open ocean fish farming is one of those industries.
We'll be right back to wrap up this week's edition of ThinkTech, but first we want to thank our underwriters.
Thanks to the Scheidler Family Foundation. Jay Scheidler, through the Scheidler Family Foundation, supports a number of educational, cultural, and charitable organizations, including ThinkTech.
Hawaiian Electric Company, HECO and its affiliates Miko on Maui and Helco on the Big Island are deeply committed to the communities they serve.
Galen Ho. Galen Ho is a senior executive of BAE Systems, a global defense, security, and aerospace company which has a large presence in and commitment to Hawaii.
The High Tech Development Corporation, HTDC, is a state agency dedicated to Hawaii's tech industry and the diversification of our economy.
Okay, Duke, that wraps up this week's edition of ThinkTech. Remember, you can watch ThinkTech on OC16 several times every week, just like Duke does. For additional times, check out oc16.tv.
And for lots more ThinkTech videos and for underwriting and sponsorship opportunities on ThinkTech on OC16, visit thinktechhawaii.com. Be a sponsor and help us reach Hawaii.
Thanks for joining us on ThinkTech. Tune in next week for a tour of the new 30-megawatt wind farm at Kahuku, which will start operating in only a few days. Exciting. I'm Jay Fidell. Aloha, everyone.
And I'm Duke Oishi. Aloha, everyone.